Keep rolling, hype.
Here we go. Let's do it.
Surfing is the only life, the only way for me now. Surf.
Good day, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Sweep. I'm your host, Anthony Longhair Leclair. And did you know that on this day, in 1961, the Pendletones started their first real recording session? This was at Height Morgan's studio in LA, and the band recorded a song called Surfin. In case you couldn't get just from the acoustic run of that song in our intro, this band would later become a very famous group called the Beach Boys. So those of you who didn't know beforehand, the Beach Boys used to be called the Pendletones. So that was on this day in 1961. Did you know that on this day in 2019, I'm just going to make a plug for a group that hopefully one day sponsors the podcast. It'd be really nice. This month is Taylor Month at Long and McQuaid. I live in North Bay, Ontario, which is in Canada, for those of you who are listening from anywhere outside of Canada or who just don't know where North Bay is. And Long and McQuaid has Taylor Month, which means that if you're buying Taylor products, if you play Taylor guitars, you're going to get a sweet deal. As it stands right now, all month you'll get 0% financing on all Taylor guitars that are over $11.99. This ends on the 30th, so yeah, I'm coming in halfway through the month, but it seems to be a slow music day for the sites I get all my independent postings from, so I wanted to talk about Long and McQuaid a bit. I've heard a lot of horrible stories from people who've gone to Long and McQuaid elsewhere. There's actually a recent post on the North Bay page about a bad experience in Sudbury, and I've heard various things about the ones in Toronto and Ottawa as well. I've yet to have a really bad experience, and I have to say that Long McQuaid North Bay is probably the best experience I've had at a Long and McQuaid. The one in Canada, I did have sort of like, I don't know, they just didn't really care I was there, which was strange to me because it's sort of their business to get my business and help with whatever I'm looking for. But I walked in with a friend of mine and we just started looking at guitars, and no one bothered to ask if we needed help with anything or if we were looking for something specific. So we just wandered around and played guitars and had a good time and then left. And that was where I played a fantastic Taylor Hollow Body, which was, it's also $4,000 I'm not willing to spend on a guitar right now. But I do already have Taylor Academy 12E, and then a 12-string Taylor 456 CE, both of which are very nice guitars. One is gigantic compared to the other, but that's what you get when you get a 12-string. So I guess it's sort of a pandering plug to both Taylor and to Long and McQuaid. The podcast is in its infancy, but we're talking music every day, and I'm willing to plug anything that Long McQuaid North Bay's got going on because they've helped me with a good lot of my gear. In reality, most of the gear I'm recording with right now came from Long McQuaid or Music City, which was the store before Long McQuaid came into North Bay. But all the same staff that I typically work with for the most part, and all the new staff and the management in North Bay is fantastic. So if you've had a bad time at a Long McQuaid elsewhere, and you're somewhere in the relative area, do stop into L&M North Bay. make sure to go to a location near you to pick up a sweet Taylor deal. Maybe they'll have a deal on Elixir strings. Maybe they'll finally have a deal on acoustic Elixir strings, specifically the 12-string strings, because they are quite pricey, and I love Elixirs, but man, it's hard when you're spending over $30 a pop to restring your guitar. People keep telling me, oh, you should restring your guitar like at least once a month, and I keep telling them to fuck themselves, because there is no way I'm spending that much money every month just on strings. I have to worry about rent and bills and shit, Sorry. I love my guitars. I love treating my guitars when I can, but there are not enough gigs for me in this area to warrant my spending that much money on strings. I'll restring when I start recording an album, or I'm working on a specific piece that I want the right sound for. I'll restring, give it a couple of days to settle, and then I'll do that. It's fine. But yeah, I'm not going to do a regular monthly or bi-monthly restringing. Jesus. I'm just going to do the math on that right now, actually. So that's $720 essentially per year on strings, and that's more than some people's rent. It's not more than mine, but it's not far off. A few more sets of strings and we're there. So save the money on a Taylor guitar, and then you can spend more money on Elixir strings, is what you should do by going along McQuade and taking advantage of Taylor month. And they've got great deals all year round, so check them out. Hope you guys can stomach the shameless pandering that I'm doing to try and get some sort of sponsorship deal, so when I go in there next I can be like, hey guys, I don't know if you noticed, but they're all fantastic. They are seriously the best group I've worked with from a music store. I've been to quite a few music stores in my time, and it's the most comfortable one, and with people who I've become friends with and have played with before. So do check them out. And and I'll play you guys out of this daily sweep with the Pendletones circa 1961. And as I mentioned yesterday, we may be out of town for a few days, or we will be out of town for a few days, so we may not get to a daily sweep until Wednesday, but we'll try and fill in with some jam session recordings of what we're doing out there in Whitby, and I'm just visiting family, so there will be jam sessions for sure. But regardless, thank you so much for listening. Do subscribe to the podcast, and check out LeclairStudios.com, which powers the podcast and Swept Up in general. There's a written section there, so you can check out other music reviews that may not yet have made it to the podcast, or you can get a different angle of those reviews. And we'll be back soon to sweep something else out from under the rug.
We'll be back here really soon, that you better know. Yeah, I'll surf the knots are rising and my board is losing wax. But that won't stop me, baby, cause you know I'm coming back. And going surfing, 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 surfing.